from the House Oversight and Accountability Committee. And Congressman, you were there. Thank you for being here in New York. And I know you got away right after the defense announced they wanted to put Costello up. I understand there was a gasp in the audience, right? Yeah,
you could tell that they were scrambling, that they were trying to figure out how to respond to that request. And so I had to leave.
To come here. Yeah. I'm sorry to drag you away from an exciting moment.
So much happened today. When you look at Cohen's testimony, most of it is a very boring day, to be honest with you. But there were these moments where he would admit to larceny against his former client, and admit to lying and all of the things that he's admitted to.
By the way, when he admitted to larceny, did you happen to notice any reaction from the jury?
I couldn't see their faces at that time. You could tell that there was in the room, the reporters, their keyboards really lit up at that moment.
Yeah. And the judge who let Stormy Daniels go on and on with all these salacious details that had nothing to do with the charges. And I'm looking at, is this the live shot of the president now? No, okay, this is a tape of the president. But when that happened, I mean, the fact is that the judge right now seems to be doubling down on with the prosecution on Costello when he let Stormy Daniels, who had nothing relevant to this particular case, go on and on. I mean, there's an unfairness about this whole process. I don't know if you could sense it today.
Oh, absolutely. The judge is clearly conflicted. He has a history of making a donation to Donald Trump's current opponent for president, Joe Biden.
It was a small donation, but he made it. And actually, he was rebuked by the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct. I don't know if we can put that full screen up, but this is what they said. They rebuked him, and they said, like so much of the misconduct of the commission that the commission encounters, making a prohibited political contribution is a self-inflicted mistake. So he was actually, it was a slap on the wrist because it wasn't a lot of money, but it does bring up the charge of prejudice in his courtroom.
But what is a lot of money is the relationship the business relationship that his daughter has with the Democratic Party, with the Democratic Senate. She fundraises for them, including Dan Goldman and other members of the Democratic Party. And she raises a lot of money, and that she's raising money off of these legal actions.
And the whole process, we still don't know the underlying charge that elevates a misdemeanor, which is the bookkeeping error, according to the court. That is a misdemeanor. But what elevates it to a felony are all of these points. There are 34 points in the indictment, and they all say with intent to defraud and intent to commit another crime. We still don't know what that other crime is.
That's right. And without that other crime, this whole thing falls apart. But at the end of the day, if Trump didn't log it, by the way, it was his accountant who was following normal business procedures. And if he had logged it any other way, they probably would have still been in court because it's subjective on how you categorize some of these expenses.
And then there are some other elements, the way the case is being tried. In fact, this morning, it was called to order early. The president was supposed to go out to a campaign event in another state. I assume it was New Jersey. I'm not sure about that. But here's what the president said on being called in an hour early, having to cancel a campaign event. Roll tape.
I'm here instead of campaigning. As you know, I was supposed to be in a very different state this morning, and the judge actually decided to call it early. I was supposed to be making a speech for political purposes. I'm not allowed to have anything to do with politics because I'm sitting in a very freezing cold courtroom for the last 4 weeks. It's very unfair.
Congressman, do you believe that the trial, the way it's being run, is an interference with his ability to campaign?
Yeah, there's no doubt, because they're trying to drag it on as well. So there was the prosecution was supposed to rest. They had run out of witnesses. They came up with another one. That witness wasn't available at that moment, so they got permission from the judge to bring them in tomorrow morning and extend the trial.
And very quickly, we may, if you don't mind staying with us, if Donald Trump comes out to talk, What does this say about America? You're in business. You're not a lawyer by profession. You're a businessman. Contracts, all of the legal underpinnings of our economy, of our vibrant economy, have to do with respect for the law. What does this do for that respect?
Yeah, David, we're at an inflection point in America's history. I really do think that the most important infrastructure, which is our judicial system, our rights such as free speech, and all of these things are under threat. And if we let these things go, then we will let America go. This will be the end.
Thank you very much for staying with us. Again, if the president comes out, we'll ask you for some final comments on that. Well, as his opponent.